Hey guys, this is Kara Arlene Bolton. It is 11:15 p.m. on Monday the 21st. And with the death of Pope Francis, I have been thinking a lot today about Christianity and religion and how there are so many things that are skewed. And I used to think it was in all of quote unquote modern society. I'm coming to find out that it's mostly just America. Gee, go figure. So the thing that kind of shocked me today, I guess it really shouldn't have, but it did, was what Marjorie Greene Taylor was saying after Pope Francis had died. And yeah, I am just absolutely appalled at this country. Everything that I used to think about Christianity and American nationalism, patriotism, has completely shifted. When I was a kid, I grew up going to a Baptist church that had Southern Baptist ties, and I used to believe tons of the rhetoric that's going around now. That's, more open now than it ever has been, that I'm aware of anyway. And I am completely appalled. It just, that's the thing, is all of these Christians, if they saw Jesus in the flesh today, they would be the first ones to stick him on a bus or stick him on a plane and get him out of the country. Of course, they're going to tell you that that's not true, but that's exactly true. That's exactly true. I grew up going to the Baptist church until I was about 16. And then I went to a Nazarene church for a very long time, until about a couple years ago, when my sister was forced out of her church for reading a book that the church didn't agree with. Like, are you kidding? A book? Really? A book? Like, come on. Like, what is the point? Like, calm down. I'm really starting to understand now why so many people have left the Christian church. And it wasn't Jesus' teachings that turned people away. Not at all. It was the Christians. Now look, I'm not perfect, and I'm, not claiming to be perfect. I never will be perfect, but I worship a perfect God. And I hope that I do right by him. I try to be kind to every person that I see. If I'm able, I will give homeless people food, which unfortunately I don't have the means to do very often. You know, Christianity has changed for me so much over the last couple of years now, because I started going to after going to the Nazarene church, I started going to an Episcopal church, and I thought I had been welcomed into churches before. Not like this. The Episcopal church it has been absolutely phenomenal. And it has made me closer to God than I think I have ever been. And there are times in my life where I felt that I was really, really close. But you know, the state of this country absolutely astounds me. And I know that there are a lot of people in my family and my friends group that don't agree with a lot of the things that I see or what I believe. And that's okay. But I've had several of my friends on Facebook call me names, tell me that I'm going to hell, tell me that I'm not a real Christian, tell me that I am nothing more than a libtard, their words, not mine. Or they won't say those things directly to me, but they know my certain beliefs, but then they'll bash the people who they know I agree with or very similar with. And I'm like, okay, that's not okay. That's not okay. You know, our society has essentially now forced us to pick sides, one side or the other. And I cannot stand by and watch where we're going. You know, now I know how some Germans felt in the 30s, because they think that people shouldn't exist. Because that's the thing. Oh, they say, oh, well, you know, Germany had concentration camps. Yeah, gee. Yeah, so is that prison in El Salvador. Y'all, it's a concentration camp. It's a complete concentration camp. And anyone who says it isn't is full of it. Now look, to be fair, there are some gang members down there. There are some very bad people in that jail, prison, whatever. But most of the people there are not. They're not. You know, you can Photoshop pictures to make what you believe seem to be accurate. But, you know. I just hope and I pray that I do right, not by man, but by God. You know, I pray for my enemies. I pray for world leaders, even the ones that I don't feel like benefit from prayer. I mean, everyone benefits from prayer, but, you know, the dude from North Korea, the Russian president, even though he's a dictator, y'all, just call him a dictator. Orange Cheeto in office. You know, Netanyahu. I pray for President Zelensky. I pray for a lot of the world leaders. I pray for the governor of my state. I pray for the governors of all the states. I pray that we get compassion back for people. Because Jesus did not stutter when he said that to love your neighbor. He didn't stutter. He didn't say, love your neighbor that looks like you, sounds like you, speaks like you, thinks like you, dresses like you, acts like you. He didn't say that. He said, love your neighbor. Even back then, who was your neighbor? Your neighbor was everyone around you. Even in the cities where Jesus would be, you had groups from all over, from Asia Minor and Crete and Greece and Rome and, Egypt and Israel, and you still had so many groups and so many different pockets of people. Even then, Jesus said, love your neighbor. He didn't stutter when he said it. And that's another thing. I grew up in a church that said, certain people will go to hell, this or that, right? But, love your neighbor. Okay. But then as I started doing that, I got called a hypocrite for doing what was asked of me. Like, no. Jesus meant it when he said, love your neighbor as yourself. So what that tells me is there's a lot of people in this country that don't like themselves. Because if they can't love their neighbor as themselves, they must not love themselves then. Right? Yeah. I really liked Pope Francis. I think he was a great pope. I think he was wonderful. And I hope that the Catholic Church gets another one like him.